We are here live from beautiful West Palm Beach, the Fit Bells, Colleen and Jordan.
Colleen just got back from Hawaii too.
I did. One of my little side hustles these days is part-time modeling. So I actually was in Fashion Week in Hawaii, which was quite spectacular to say the least. I was extremely excited about it, and I had a blast. The flight is very long. It's from Lauderdale to LAX and LAX to the Big Island. It was on Kona. That is about a 6.5 hour flight from LA just to get to Kona. So it's already like 11.5 hours. And then you gain 6 hours, so it's a lot. And then I lose it. Lost it when I came back.
Props to you, because she had to also like diet for this. So can you imagine being on a plane for like 12 hours? It's like you can't have a cocktail or salty nuts because you'll hold water. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah. Yes, I was on a lot of chicken breasts and a lot of asparagus, as I call that, my shredding process before I do a shoot or have a show or something like that. So that's it. So I'm back to having a bit more food.
Cocktails and
yes,
all
exactly. I
that
had some Prosecco, which was great after the show. But thank you. It was a blast, and I feel very honored that I was selected. It's a competitive industry for sure, but I'm working my way up gradually as a part-time thing on the side of everything else I do. So, but thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. And Jordan's always been my number one fan. I have many of them. I'm very blessed with good friends and fans, so who support my endeavors. So thank you.
Absolutely.
So actually, I was just checking my Colleen Fit Pro Instagram messages, and I did get a message from Annalise. She had a question about my supplement timing. Yes, she wondered, because I take so many, as if any of you have seen the previous 2 episodes, you see that I do take a lot. She wanted to know how I administer them, like when and all of that. So what I will say is that I take the majority of them when I sit at about 9:30 in the morning after my intermittent fasting and have my oatmeal and berries, my low sugar oatmeal and berries, and I gradually take them over the course of an hour. I swallow them gradually, so I'm not putting them all down. So between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning, that gets difficult when I'm traveling, but I do my best. The only exception to that is the magnesium glycinate and the theanine. Those I take before bed because they're supposed to help make you sleepy, de-stress, all of that. So that would be the only exception. Those go at nighttime. The rest are during the day in the morning. So, but thanks, Annalise, for that question. I'm glad you're listening and enjoying. That's awesome. So we have a fabulous little episode planned for you guys today, and it's all about the benefits of walking and some new trends that I discovered through research and some things that might be of interest to our viewers. So we're going to dive into that, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, I don't know, Jordan, you want to go ahead and start?
As you guys know, it's one of the easiest, most low impact way to get your cardio in. And right now, through Good Morning America and TikTok and Instagram, there's a lot of trends that we're seeing right now. One of which, and I don't know if you've heard of this before, is called Japanese walking. Have you heard of this?
I have not heard about Japanese walking, but I do have Japan on my list for a couple of other things when I get to my turn.
So Japanese is a 30-minute walk, and 3 minutes of it is brisk walking, and the other 3 is slow intensity, and this improves that aerobic activity. So it's like almost like a low impact hit, if you will. And apparently it's like a big trend right now. It's this Japanese walking. So that's 30 minutes with 3 minutes of brisk and then 3 minutes of slow. I think that's, most people are doing it on the treadmill because I think it's easier to kind of pace yourself that way. But that is a big trend we're seeing right now. And then there's another one for my TikTok friends out there, which I do not TikTok, but if you do, it's called the 666 walking, which might be a little demonic, but this is 60 minutes of walking twice a day. And the times that they recommend you doing it is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So you're basically walking for 2 hours a day. That's a big thing, especially for weight loss right now. We're seeing a lot of people implement this for that low intensity cardio. And then there's another one that I recently I've heard of, and it's, a big trend amongst the youth. It's called 12-3-30. Now, those friends who love to utilize the treadmill. This is a 30-minute walk on the treadmill at a 12% incline at keeping the speed of 3.0 miles per hour. And this really kind of focuses on the posterior chain, so really getting into the hamstrings and the glutes. So more of a strength walk. And I don't know, I know Colleen, she does those high intensity interval walks, but 3% at 3 miles per hour at a 12% incline is it's pretty intense for 30 minutes.
Well, that kind of depends too if you're holding on or not.
Yeah.
So if you're not holding on, yes, it's bad enough holding on, but if you're not holding on, that's pretty good.
Yeah. That's like, I don't know if I'd rather get on the stair climber. But that's another like big thing we're saying to kind of, also increase that endurance aspect, because, as you pick up speed, your VO2 max starts to decrease. So that's a good way to kind of build that aerobic activity as well. And, these are some of the trends we've been seeing, as well as, and I'll circle back to it, the weighted vest walking, which we've seen a lot of and we've touched on in previous episodes. But I know Colleen has she's done a lot more in-depth research of the benefits versus me. What are the trends?
I had a lot of time on plane flights recently.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I utilized my Delta free Wi-Fi, so I did a lot of Googling. But one of the quotes I kind of want to begin with, I actually found from the London Times in their health and fitness section. And I will reference this article when we do our post for this episode on a hashtag, so you guys can read it in its entirety. But, quote, if someone were to come up with a safe, once daily supplement that promises anti-aging, disease-defying, stress-reducing, and fitness-enhancing benefits, all for free, we would be lining up immediately to take it. Yet such a tonic already exists in the form of a daily walk. So I thought that was quite prophetic, Jordan.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, that is amazing. So, and it went on to say that scientists have discovered so many mind-body benefits from walking that we're able to bottle the effects of this most basic and instinctive form of exercise. They would become billionaires several times over. So it's a cool kind of thing. And of course, there are so many benefits from walking. Health-wise, and on healthline.com, which I'm on all the time. Of course, the most basic is it helps in weight loss. It's going to improve your heart function. It's going to reduce chronic disease, reduce stroke risk in women and men, and decrease diabetes risk and lower blood pressure, increase lung capacity, of course, improve your mood, and it can also lessen or improve varicose veins happening in women. So, there's so many benefits of it. And one of the other things that I was researching, which I thought was super cool, is the whole trend with the blue zones. I don't know if you guys have watched it. It's on my list to watch, but it's called Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. These 5 areas in our big fat world are all known to have the most centenarians, which are people that live to 100 plus.
Interesting.
And so those areas are Sardinia, Italy, which is a beautiful place. I've been there. And here comes Japan. Okinawa, Japan.
The Japanese walking.
There we go. Yes. The Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. Icaria in Greece. And right here in the United States, Loma Linda, California.
Okay.
So those are our 5 places in our big world that people are living to 100. A lot of it's diet, but they are moving the most, and that's one of the reasons why they're living that long. They're setting themselves up for success in terms of the health department, and reducing disease and all the adverse effects from not moving enough. So I thought that was quite cool, and I have now such great interest in watching this. I think it's on Netflix. It's Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones, but I am definitely going to want to check that out. So that's that. And so basically what I also found out, which was kind of cool, is that people who live in blue spaces those are the ones with accesses to coastal lakes and rivers are people that are more likely to be more active, which makes sense because they're outside more, they have more green space, the parks, the forests, and what have you. So, research shows that people in greener neighborhoods are more likely to walk than those that are not.
That's why New York didn't make the list. jealous because it's gray. They walk.
They walk, but
They
it's not.
stress.
It's
They
not.
stress.
It's not as pleasant. Yeah, exactly. So some of the trends that I found by doing my little research on my long flights. One of the things that's kind of cute is called cozy cardio.
Ooh.
And that is a focus on walking outdoors in groups and in nature, mindful movement and well-being. So it's a group of people, they're doing it together, they're all supporting each other, male, female, and then they're called hot girl hikes. And these are pilgrimage walking of just women. So they're out and about on trails, on hikes. Sometimes they even vacation together and go to like the Katy Trail and do a whole hike there. So it's something that, is communal, powerful. Sometimes, as I was mentioning in a couple of our episodes, it's great to have a buddy to work out with. Well, why not have 10?
And
So,
bridging off that kind of, I don't know if you know about this, or maybe our listeners or viewers do. They do have groups locally in our community that are that are based on walking. Like they have the jogging groups, but they also have walking groups where you can meet up and meet people and go for like these fun activity walks. So that's something that I am also saying. Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so social. Everyone talks about pickleball and that's very fun and social, but you know what? Basic walking, it can be done anywhere, at any time with people, and you can gradually move yourself up and increase your heart rate. So we'll get to that in a sec. But so these hot girl hikes. And then the other thing is, let's see if I can find it here. Oh, I know. This was interesting. I really kind of was like, wow. The new trend now, and this is on TikTok as well, is called nasal breathing.
Oh.
So it's a new trend which helps to release stress and enhance oxygen supply as you walk. So not just a TikTok trend or sensation where people actually tape their mouths, believe it or not, when they're sleeping to facilitate and practice the technique. So the nasal breathing technique really enhances your cardio endurance and boosts levels of circulating oxygen. So Jordan, the next time you go to sleep tonight, maybe
get the mouth tape. Actually, I have mouth tape.
You might want to try
I'm a
it.
face sleeper, so I've seen this because this mouth tape also I've been seeing. There's another podcast, Lauren, I can't think of her last name. It's called The Skinny Confidential. She's amazing. She came out with this beautiful mouth tape that looks like two big lips that you're supposed to wear while you're sleeping, and it also helps with increasing your jawline, I guess, as you age.
Okay.
So there's a lot of benefits behind it.
Wow.
I have not been able to muster it because I feel like I would look like a psycho, like all the stuff on my face.
Right. Well, I worry about, because I get up so early and I'm at the gym, I don't want to have markings on my face, not to be vain, but I can just see Colleen goes in the gym and I just got up and I've got stuff from my taping.
But yes, I've seen about the mouth tape, but this nasal breathing is new to me.
Yes, so from healthline.com, I found this quote: nasal breathing forces you to breathe more deeply from your diaphragm, which is linked to stress reduction, everybody. And focusing on breath brings intent to your walking, which means you are less likely to dwell on negative thoughts.
Okay.
So I think that is really cool because, a lot of exercise does have benefits for the mind. It's not just for the body. I mean, the endorphins, the sense of well-being, promoting, you just feel better. So I think that's sort of an interesting thing. I might want to try to take that into account at some point.
Yeah.
And then, let me see if I can find this other note. Okay, here's the other trend that I found: walking in silence. Apparently, if you do that at least once per week, you're going to reconnect with your mind and body. Taking away technology allows one to be present in the moment, tune into the trees, the sky, your heart rate, your foot pace, breathing patterns, and emotions. So that's interesting. I mean, that's tougher if, you're on a treadmill. That's, I think, obviously more beneficial if you are outside and going singly, right, these days, and getting very stressed very easily, which is understandable. So, this whole idea of walking in silence and kind of reconnecting with your mind and body, I think that there's something to that. And I understand why this is now, becoming a huge trend. So I was kind of excited to see that. And then the other trend I found out about is called rucking. Now, rucking is actually not a weighted vest, it's a weighted backpack.
Oh, so
yes,
military style.
So it is, boot camp, military style. So I thought that was really interesting. There's a lot of articles out there on that now. They're saying that men, you work up to this, of course, but men should be walking with 10 to 15 pounds
Okay.
and women 5 to 10 pounds. So, all of that I thought was kind of fascinating because these things I did not know until I checked it out. And then the other trend that I found out is that everyone is loading up, if you don't have your Apple Watch, the Active 10 app, which records every minute of walking you do. You just pop your phone in your pocket and away you go. So it tracks your steps, it helps you set your walking goals, and it shows your achievements, and it gives you tips to boost your activity levels. Because really what I did find out as well from more research is that men are averaging about 5,300 steps per day, and females just under that at 4,912. So both of those are allowing around a 40% reduction in early mortality, but we do kind of have to pick that up a little bit. Hence, of course, I did some more research because I had always wondered where that 10,000 step number had come into play. And believe it or not, the idea was originally from Japan. Here we go with Japan again.
There you go, they got it.
From the early 1960s, a Japanese marketing campaign for a pedometer called a Mano-Kei. That's Manpo-Kei, K-E-I, or a 10,000 step meter. So the Japanese character that starts that pedometer name off looks like an actual person walking. So the 10,000 number really came from the fact that it's a memorable round number. So it was a marketing strategy to promote a pedometer and give people a catchy numerical goal rather than being on anything scientific at the time. So I thought that was interesting because, here we've always heard 10,000 steps, but it really is not scientifically based. But we do know that the more movement, the better. So at least aim for 7,000 to 8,000 and try to track it because you're going to feel better for it. So.
Yeah, I know that we touched on that before, and there are some apps out there too.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the walking app or fit app, and that kind of based on like your goals, your age, and your current activity level, they'll give you recommended steps per day to get in, and it tracks it too on your watch or with your phone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's apps out there to kind of support that, and it kind of analyzes, based on all those factors of what the recommended steps per day are, because it could be different. Like if I'm an Olympic athlete and
of course, yes, I know everyone has their different goals.
So it's interesting, but I never knew that. That's
Isn't
news
that
to
cool?
Me. Yeah.
I thought that was so fun.
That's news to
See,
me.
this is what happens when you have a long 2-plane flights.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of interesting Googling. So the other thing that I did find out is that it's important to eventually increase your pace. So of course, this isn't running, but what they do recommend and what the trend is now is to do HIIT walking. So basically high intensity training with walking to gradually increase for 5 or 10 minutes your pace and then come back down again. So that's something else that a lot of people are doing. And the last but not least trend is backwards walking, Jordan.
Oh.
I don't know if you all heard about that one.
I have not, but
that one is an interesting one. I would not recommend doing that outside.
no, maybe on the treadmill.
On the treadmill, I have seen people do it.
I have to.
And in fact, my ortho, who's also a personal friend of mine, had recommended that for me because it's easier on the knee joint because I have a very bad right knee, as I've mentioned a few times. So I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. I might do so. But for me, that was an interesting find, and it really does work your hamstrings and your whole, lumbar pelvic hip complex below your waist well. So, and again, the trend for that is they're just saying just add 5 to 10 minutes at most and go slower, but do that kind of movement to trick your body a bit.
That's all I could do. Back in the day when I first started into fitness in my 20s, there was a big trend called treadmill dancing, which implemented kind of what you're talking about, where you would walk backwards for a while and then you would do lateral, so you'd walk sideways.
Okay.
And of course, me being 20-something was like, let me try this. It's harder than it looks.
Yes, the lateral I think is very hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to train laterally because you should train in all the different planes of motion just to challenge your body and get more benefits, but that's done. I do that on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, with the band to make it a little bit more challenging. But on the treadmill, that's kind of cool. I've seen people do that.
Yeah. If you guys at home have done it or you've seen it, we want to hear about it.
But the most important thing, I think, the takeaway here is that Nowadays, what is recommended is 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That's 150 minutes. I personally feel like that's doable
Yeah.
for most people. Again, it might require you getting up an extra half an hour, 45 minutes to do so, but I don't think that's asking a lot. And something that I did learn from taking my NASM course is that actually low to moderate intensity movement is what's going to burn fat.
Yes.
And for me personally, that's what I'm always trying to do. Of course, if you go for longer durations, you're going to burn more fat. But to burn the calories, that's going to be more of a hit, a high intensity, a faster thing. But the fat burn is personally what I'm usually going for. So
yeah, depending on what your fitness goal, maybe it's more endurance and you want to implement, but for someone who is trying to, hold on to that muscle, like for somebody like me and Colleen, who've been
intensity
doing
cardio is really beneficial if you're trying to maintain that muscle that you've created, but still get the cardio. So what it's going to do is burn the fat storage versus the muscle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I always recommend walking with weights. I think we've touched on that a few times. One of my favorite things to do when I walk is, again, I have my 1 pound wrist weights on each arm, but I also add 5 pound dumbbells. Now, people, you have to work up to that. I've been training my whole life, so for over 45 years at this point. But starting with just 1 pound on your wrist and then adding 1 pound weights and moving your arms. Because the other thing when I was researching is that I found out that form is extremely important. You must have your shoulders back and your head up so you're not taking any stress in your neck. And you do need to swing your arms. Whether you have weights or not, your movement and your form are everything when you're doing fitness. Shoulders down so you're not taking tension there. And your whole spine is aligned that way. And you've got your foot and your heel in a good motion, which also brings me to the fact that you need to have very good shoes to walk.
Yeah.
So, again, I was doing some research. So I have found out that there are some really cool shoes out there on the market. And one of the ones that I was looking into is the Brooks Revel 8. Now, this is a very reasonable shoe or sneaker, if you will, and it only costs around $75 to $100. And it's an excellent value because it has excellent cushioning and support, breathability, and good airflow. Plus, they are stylish. So if you can have a shoe that is stylish and gives you comfort and breathability and cushioning, I say why not? And plus, the price point is excellent. So I myself am going to be looking into those because I am in the market for some new sneakers, shoes. I'm always utilizing them. So, and the other one that they did recommend, this is coming from Runner's World, by the way, an article, and I will hashtag that in the episode bio, but is the Adidas Ultra Boot 5X. It's plush with a stock weight in the heel and a 29 millimeter in the forefoot, so giving it enough squish to absorb all of those bumps and cracks in the sidewalk or whatever terrain you're on. So Adidas's Light Boost foam compound, which Adidas claims is 30% lighter than its previous cushioning. All right, and the prime knit material gives it a sock-like fit that allows the foot to expand and breathe.
Okay.
So this is all important stuff because you do not want to get plantar fasciitis. That is extremely painful. And you need a lot of cushioning as well with your socks. So I don't know, Jordan, if you have a favorite pair of socks, but I like Bombas, and they do give one pair back every pair you buy, and they were on Shark Tank, and I'm very entrepreneurial, so I like to support them.
I just do a ped. I'm a peds girl.
She's a peds girl. Okay.
Yeah. But there's some really great shoe options for sure out there. And, you really, depending on where you put your weight when you are walking, maybe some people might need a little bit more cushion than others based on like if you load through the toe versus the heel. But there's some great stores even here locally. Like there's one in Legacy Place, but they can kind of look at the way that where you distribute your weight when you walk and recommend a shoe that works great for you as well.
No, I think it's so important to have a great pair of sneakers or shoes, and stylish and, cost are all important. And one of the other tips that the Runner's World article did mention is to always try to buy a half a size up. Because yes, I've learned this as well through the years, because when you are working out, sometimes your feet do get hot and swell a little bit.
Mhm.
So you do need that bit of extra space. And again, the thickness of the sock is important too, for no blistering and all of that.
Yeah.
So for extreme comfort. So I'll just finish up from the American Heart Association. There's a great article called Walk This Way. It's quite good for you. So it says, quote, walking is sometimes equated with simplicity itself. If your task is a walk in the park, it might require a little more than baby steps to get things moving. And then a quote from a Dr. Ajabiba, who is a professor of preventative medicine at Northwestern University. He says people underestimate article, which I will reference, was really interesting. And then the final thing that I will say about walking is that other studies have found that brisk walkers have up to 20 years greater life expectancy than those who walk slower. So there are benefits, of course, to walking at all, but if you want to try to pick up the pace, you're going to live longer.
Yeah.
Because the study focused on telomeres, which are the caps at the end of chromosomes that protect from damage. So as we age, I did not know this, telomeres tend to shorten, and their length is considered a strong indicator of biological age. The team reported that a lifetime of brisk walking could result in someone retaining telomere length so that their biological age is the equivalent of being 16 years younger by middle age.
Wow.
So I thought that was kind of cool. So I guess that's why people think I'm 40, because that makes me 16.
exactly.
Because I do so
16
much
years younger.
movement. But yeah, so anyway, this was all interesting. It was a lot of fun to do this research. I hope you guys learned a lot from it. We love to do this podcast because we're fitness fanatics in the good sense of the word. We have a lot of exciting things coming up in our future episodes.
Yes.
We're going to be having some guest stars in the fitness industry.
Yeah, so you get some insight from them, which is always nice to have a different perspective, especially from the industry in which they come in. So that will be upcoming. So stay tuned. I'm sure we'll post teasers on our social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jordan, for the month of October, you get a pick of what your charity.
So the charity of this month, because it is October and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and our podcast is geared toward all, but because we're women, the Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation is going to be the charity of the month.
Hence the reason I'm wearing pink.
Yeah. I didn't get the memo. No, I'm just
That's okay. She's got a pink hair clip in.
That's right.
But absolutely, that's a great charity. I think probably just about everyone nowadays knows somebody that has suffered from breast cancer.
Yes.
Thank goodness research has progressed so much that people are able, if it's caught early, to then go ahead and live for many years after. But it's a very real problem, unfortunately. So that's a great charity, Jordan.
Yeah, great
So,
one for October. So then we will catch you next episode.
absolutely. We are two fit bells.
Yes.
Colleen and Jordan here, a fit girl and her dude, and Colleen Fit Pro. And thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Have a great one. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.